Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Paulo Rubio, aka GN. Welcome to FMA Source, probably the fastest growing FMA channel in all of the interwebs right now. I want to thank you all very much for all of the people there who have subscribed. And for those of you who haven't subscribed yet, if you love the Filipino martial arts, if you love a variety of content relating to Filipino martial arts and a lot of sparring and fight analysis, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification bell. Smash up the thumbs and let me know. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of the channel so far. Today I got something super duper special. Never before seen footage of Tuhon Jared Wihongi doing cutting tests with a live blade on some pork, I believe. This was filmed several years ago in my backyard, actually. And really, really interesting stuff. Hope you guys enjoy that. But before I show it to you, a couple of quick announcements. Shablamos. This is a bad one. This is a bad one. This is the Manaya push dagger. It is designed by Tuhon Jared Wihongi. This is actually his duty knife. This is what he carries with him whenever he is being a cop, being a SWAT operator, actually. So that goes with him. For all you knife guys, you already know sometimes push daggers can be a little bit flimsy, you know what I mean? And I didn't like push daggers until I found this push dagger. I always thought that it was prone to wobbling, but just the way this design has been created, you can see that it's not one of those symmetrical push daggers. It kind of mimics or it replicates how one might draw, you know, like a firearm, right? So there's a lot of thought and consideration. This is the trainer, by the way, and this is a design collaboration between Tuhon Jared Wihongi and Bassinelli Knives. Those of you guys who already know Bassinelli Knives, you already know the deal. You already know what's up. So yeah, this is a wonderful, wonderful push dagger. Check it out on aperturefightfocused.com. I'll leave a link in the description there. I'm not selling these knives. I'm just showing it to you to learn more about it. Also, another thing, aperturefightfocused.com. We got one of the greatest training knives ever designed. It is by AccuStrike. It's a step below or a step above, depending on how we want to look at it, on the shock knife. I love that it just gives you an audio-visual reminder to keep those cuts honest. Even though it is made of a hard polymer plastic, this thing is super, super incredibly durable. I want you guys to check that out. A word of advice though, for all of you guys who train hard, who don't just, you know, peepity poppity poppity poopity poopity, you know, you actually go at it, you're on the ground, you're trying to stab each other. My recommendation is to remove this metal clip right here. It could be a training hazard, right? It scrapes up faces, it has the potential to scrape skin. So just go ahead and remove that. You can check out both the AccuStrike training blade, so it's got audio visual. You guys can change the color and the sound, right? And it registers both slashes and strikes. Really amazing product, aperturefightfocus.com. And then one more time, the Manaya push dagger and the trainer. I can't do that. So without further ado, here is Tuhon Jared Wihongi slicing up some meat in my backyard. Cutting tests are really important, guys, so pay attention. Might learn something. Enjoy.
A way of creating more trauma to the body, combining the thrust with the slash, thrusting on the way in, slashing on the way out, create a larger cavity size. Thrust in, turn, and cut out. Okay, so as you can see here, there's a lot of damage that's done there. The thrust has gone in, it's turned, which is causing a larger cavity size on the thrust, and then you're creating an even larger cavity size as you slash out of that meat. Okay, all right, so for me, I could feel a noticeable difference in that, and it's kind of coincides with what we experienced with the karambit also. The thrust in was fine. Okay, I was able to go through there. I could feel the tension on these bungee cords here as I slashed out because there was more friction in the cut. The serration was causing causing that friction. It's snagging inside the meat as I cut out, and what that produced was a less clean cut, as you can see in the meat here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is experiment with a straight slash. Okay, so I'm going to start across. I'm just going to come on a horizontal slash. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing here. Again, I'm not putting a lot of force into it, just kind of letting the blade do its work. Just from what I'm seeing, that the cut that I saw from the karambit was more significant with that same force, you know. And so, particularly in that grip, this grip here, the forward grip is where we saw a lot of deep cutting with the karambit. With the straight blade, again, it's significant, but it was kind of pushing the meat away a little bit, and so I was getting less resistance, and so the cut is not as deep as I saw, but again, significant still. And depending on the location of that cut, it could still be significant in a defensive situation. You know, hit placement is the number one incapacitation factor. We're letting the blade do the work. If I wanted to really get some penetration here and some trauma behind that penetration, I'd do more of a hammering attack, what we call a number one angle. Right now I'm just kind of pushing through and letting the blade do its thing. I'm going to do it on the other side, right next to that last one. As it hits those serrations, you can kind of feel the cut change from a smooth to more of a ripping cut on the inside, but I still got full penetration with that movement. When you talk to people who've been stabbed in a physical altercation, and I talk about police officers that I've worked with that have been stabbed, a lot of times they don't even know they've been stabbed. It feels like they've been punched, they've been hit, and they don't realize that there's actually a puncturing wound until they start seeing blood later on as the adrenaline cools down. So I don't think immediately in the aftermath, once the adrenaline wears off, there's probably going to be a little bit more pain felt when you've got more of those tearing cuts on the inside. I'm going to come downward on this piece of meat here. Again, let the blade do its work as they make contact. And so it got a pretty significant cut as it cut through there. And that's an important point. Most people that carry knives every day, most of the use is utility, and so the serrated edge is very effective for common utility use, cutting through tape boxes, rope, whatever. And it's still going to be functional in a self-defense situation also.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. So again, it boils down to personal preference and use.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Obviously cut through the clothing, cut down, you can feel the bone behind there, so cut down to the bone on that one. I'm not sure which, that was probably the first one. Kind of bounced around here, so this was probably the second one. Again, cut through the clothing, cut down, and as I feel through there, cut all the way to where the bone is on there also. That might have been it right there, it is, found it. That's where the thrust was. Again, I felt it hit bone as I came up on that thrust, and you can hear that into there. That's where it went into. So the thrust went all the way through the clothing and again hit the bone. So every one of those slashes and thrusts cut through the clothing, cut through the meat as far as it was going to go into that bone, and pretty heavy bone inside there. But significant. It did as well as it's going to do, considering the length of the blade and what we're cutting. So obviously there's a lot of bone in there, there's a lot of meat, but we're going to do a few slashes, a few thrusts, and take a look at the effects it has here. Take a look there. A lot of significant damage. Actually, you can see some of these are cutting through the bone. A lot of right there, cut all the way through the bone. Some of the thrusts, let's take a look at this other piece here. Some of the experiments we were doing earlier, we were letting the blade do all the work. We're taking a look. Okay, let's just place the blade on it, drag it across, see what it does. But when you put a little bit of force behind there, even this is not a solid platform, there's a lot of bouncing going on here, but when you put a little bit of force behind these, and a moving, bouncing, very low mass rib cage here, cutting all the way through the bone, quite significant. The tool is one instrument, but training behind the blade is probably even more important. A trained person with a less effective blade can be very effective. When you put a good tool in that person's hands, it becomes even more effective. So training behind the blade is going to be a paramount factor also, because hit placement, we talk about hit incapacitation factors, hit placement being number one. The ability to hit a vital target on a person that is presenting force back to you, fighting back, is going to be difficult. And so, that's where your training comes in.
So guys, right around now is when most people tune out, but I'm telling you, please stick around because the context of this video is really, really important. This happened many, many years ago when I had Doug Markaida and Tuhon Jared Wihongi in my backyard, really to promote this blade. And I was half expecting Tuhon Jared to be like, rah, and just like do all sorts of cool stuff. But you can tell in this video, I want you to watch it back again, he purposefully kept it subdued. He did not want to sensationalize things. He wanted to keep it very, very factual. He tried to keep his movements, really, really subdued because there was a lot of information to be gained from this. Now, I gotta tell you, I had to cut out a lot of the info. Okay, some of the material that was presented, I don't really feel good about necessarily releasing out there. So for those of you guys who do cutting tests, you already know what those lessons are. For all of you experienced in training knife in a logical and reasonable way, you already know the things that you find out when you do cutting tests. So I wanna thank Tuhon Jared Wihongi. I almost wanna travel back in time and say that I really appreciated the way that he presented himself in this video, despite the fact that he was brought in fully understanding that we're gonna use his expertise really as marketing material for this blade. He kept it subdued, and just now I'm beginning to realize that. So, when now knowing what I know and knowing how Tuhon Jared is, when he recommends a product these days, you may not see a whole bunch of flashy, fancy demos. He's gonna stick to the point. He's gonna be as factual as possible. He's not gonna sensationalize things. And now, we're talking 7 years later, I'm beginning to really appreciate why Tuhon Jared is the way he is. He's really a person that I love working with, not just because of the fact that I can learn a lot from him, but he's a really, really good human being. He's really solidly grounded, mentally, obviously physically and also spiritually. So that's why I love working with this dude. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Thank you for sticking around for the context. Again, some of the training tools that right now I believe are really, really awesome. AccuStrike training knife. And again, please allow me to evolve, right? I don't foresee it, but maybe I won't like this. 5 years from now. So just please understand that anything that I might recommend these days, it's got a shelf life, right? I'm evolving. I think we're all evolving, and I never want to be stuck to something that I've said in the past. I just want to make it known now because I do value you guys as my audience, and I don't want to present anything that I'm not an expert at any of this stuff. I am a student of the blade, and so as it stands right now, I think it's a really, really great tool for training. We use it a lot. We should be using this more often actually in our boudoir training sessions, but you can find this at aperturefightfocus.com. The same with the Manaya. Again, I'm not a cop, I'm not a SWAT operator, but I sort of trust in the judgment of someone like Tuhon Jared Wihongi. So I hope you give it a shot. I'm not saying buy it, that's not what I'm saying at all, but do check it out. And if it suits who you are, where you live, what your roles are, what your training goals are, then maybe it's something that might be useful for you. Please do get the trainer as well. Like I said, if you're gonna train safely, right? This is made of a hard metal, so that's gonna hurt, right? But obviously it's not a live blade. All right, that's enough talking for now. Guys, I really appreciate you making contributions to FMA Source. Again, every comment counts. Smash up the like button, that really counts as well. And do subscribe, hit that notification bell. And there are other ways to support us. There are links in the description. Thank you very much for being part of this community. I'm really, really honored that you guys have given me the opportunity to present Filipino martial arts in my own way. And again, that way will change over time, and I hope you give me opportunities to apologize and self-correct if I make mistakes. And I do hope that if I offer something of value, at the very least, let me know in the comments if you're enjoying the channel so far, okay? Thank you guys very much. I'm out. Peace.